They laughed when they tore my exam paper in half, and I promised myself they'd regret it in ways they'd never forget. My name is Mia. I'm 16, and until last Friday I believed school was the one place I could build a future. That belief shattered in seconds. It started during the final period of the day, advanced literature. We had been preparing for weeks for the final paper, and it counted for almost half our grade. I was sitting near the back of the room, my head down, writing furiously, trying to answer every question with the focus of someone who needed this. More than oxygen. See, I've always dreamed of getting into Halstead Academy for writing. This paper, it was my chance to shine. When the bell rang, I took a breath, placed the last punctuation mark on the essay, and smiled. I felt proud, confident. That paper was gold. I stood up, held it gently in my hand, and walked to the teacher's desk. Then it happened. Just as I was halfway to the front, someone bumped into me hard from behind. I stumbled. The paper flew from my hand, and before I could grab it, I saw Lana's pointed shoe land on it. She dragged it back under her desk like a piece of trash. Jess snatched it up, and Brooke laughed as she crumpled it. I lunged forward, heart in my throat. But by the time I got to them, it was too late. The three of them had torn it apart into a dozen jagged pieces. "What are you doing?" I cried, my voice shaking with panic. "Oh no, Mia," Brooke smirked. "Didn't you already turn it in? I mean, you looked done." Jess snorted. "Oops. Maybe next time, don't walk so slowly." I scrambled to collect the pieces, tears burning behind my eyes. I ran to Mr. Calderon, my teacher holding up the torn mess. They ripped my exam, I choked. He stared, unconvinced.
"Mia, are you saying you lost your paper because of them?"
"They destroyed it right in front of me," I insisted. But Lana, Jess, and Brooke were already playing innocent acting, confused, even concerned. "I didn't see anything," Lana said sweetly. "She must have dropped it. She's just mad because she didn't finish," Jess added, shrugging. I looked at Mr. Calderon. I knew that look. Doubt. Disappointment. He sighed and said, "I'm sorry, Mia, but without any proof." That sentence crushed something inside me. When I got home, my parents weren't any better. I tried explaining, but my mom just crossed her arms. "You studied for weeks and still didn't hand in your paper." "I did," I shouted. "They destroyed it. Dad didn't even look up from his laptop."
"Enough, Mia. We expected better."
I went to my room, sat on my bed, and cried. But only for a little while. Because in that heartbreak, a fire started. They thought they'd won. They were wrong. I thought the worst was behind me, that the torn exam was the lowest they could go. I was wrong. On Monday, when I got to school, I found my locker sprayed with red paint. 3 words dripped down the metal like fresh blood. Cheater. Drama. Liar. My hands trembled as I opened it. Everything inside my books, my sketch pad, even my lunch was soaked in water and shredded paper. A few girls nearby giggled. I turned to see Lana walking by with Jess and Brooke, whispering, glancing back, laughing. I wanted to scream. I wanted to fight back, but my throat was tight with humiliation. I cleaned it up in silence, every rip of wet paper, a sharp reminder they weren't done with me yet. In class, whispers followed me like a curse. People were talking about how I faked the exam being destroyed for attention, about how I made the whole thing up. They called me the drama queen. Someone even slid a note under my desk during science. Maybe next time, just do the work instead of crying about it. I tried to explain again to Mr. Calderon. He sighed, then shook his head. "Mia, I can't accuse other students without evidence. Just focus on moving forward. Moving forward." How was I supposed to move forward when I was being buried alive in lies? My friends, or at least the ones I thought were friends, had all gone silent. They didn't want to get involved, didn't want to be targets. I couldn't even blame them. At home, things weren't any better. My parents had already received an email from school about my academic dishonesty. I couldn't sleep that night. The unfairness of it all twisted in my gut like broken glass. That night, I stared at the ceiling and asked myself something I had never dared before. What if I stopped being the quiet girl who always played fair? What if I made them regret everything? The next day I came in quiet, but inside I had made a decision. I started watching them. I stopped crying and started observing. Every smirk, every little meeting between classes, where they hung out during lunch, who they talked to, what they said. I sat alone at the edge of the cafeteria with my earbuds in, but I wasn't listening to music. I was recording. I downloaded a voice recorder app and kept it running. It didn't take long. 3 days later, I captured Jess bragging about what they did to my exam. I swear she looked like she was gonna faint when we ripped it. Did you see her face? Brooke chimed in. Totally worth it. I hate how she thinks she's smart. And Lana, she just said she deserved it. My fingers clenched around the phone. I had them. I finally had proof, but I wasn't done yet. Because I wasn't going to the teacher with this. No, I was going bigger. Justice was coming, but I wanted it to hurt just as much as they'd hurt me. After school that Friday, I sat alone in the library until the last bell rang. The sky outside was bleeding orange. Everyone else had gone home, but I wasn't leaving. I had my phone, my notes, and my plan. My fingers trembled slightly as I clicked through the recordings again. Jess's voice, Brooke's laugh, Lana's sneer. This wasn't just about the exam anymore. This was about how they had made me feel powerless, alone, humiliated. But I wasn't powerless anymore. That weekend, I did something I never thought I'd do. I reached out to Dylan Marshall. He was quiet, always sat in the back of class wearing a hoodie, barely spoke to anyone. Rumor had it he was a computer genius, borderline hacker. I didn't care about the rumors, I needed his help. I found him in the gaming section of the public library. I need a favor, I said, standing beside him. He blinked, pulling out an earbud. Okay. What kind of favor? I sat down and showed him my phone. I want to make a video. A short one. Just a few minutes. With subtitles. Clean audio. I need it ready in a week. He raised an eyebrow, but nodded slowly. Blackmail. Justice, I corrected. For 3 bullies who wrecked my exam, ruined my name, and laughed while doing it. He smiled slightly.
Nice. I'm in.
We worked in silence for the next few hours. He cleaned the audio, added dramatic zooms, matched names to faces. I helped narrate short captions to introduce each voice. When I saw the preview, my heart pounded. Every second of that video screamed truth. Ready for upload? Dylan asked. Not yet, I said. There is only one place it needs to play. The school assembly. Every spring we had a big assembly in the gym. Parents came. Teachers spoke. The student council showed a year-in-review video projected onto the giant screen. And that's where I planned to strike. The following week, I got to work. I volunteered to help the student council with their slideshow. At first they said no, but I played the helpful nerd card offering to collect photos and video clips. Eventually, they handed me a USB drive and told me to gather everything. They had no idea I'd be adding one file of my own Mia Reality Check Final MP4. My stomach was a tangle of nerves and fire. Every night that week, I visualized the moment. The lights dimming, the audio playing. Lana, Jess, and Brooke watching their words turn into weapons against them. I wanted their smug faces to fall just like mine had when they tore my future apart. But I wasn't doing this for revenge anymore. I was doing it to show everyone I wasn't weak. I wasn't a liar, and I wasn't afraid anymore. The morning of the assembly, I woke up before my alarm. I stared at the ceiling, every heartbeat like a countdown. Today was the day. No more hiding, no more silence. Today, I'd show the entire school what had really happened and who the bullies really were. I got to school early, clutching the USB drive like it was a weapon. The gym buzzed with energy, folding chairs lined up, students chatting, teachers checking microphones. I found the student council AV guy, Trevor, and handed him the updated folder for the presentation. "All the final clips are in here," I said, smiling like it was just another slideshow. Trevor plugged it in without question. "Cool, I'll load it up." "Thanks, Mia." I walked away, heart pounding. My hands were ice. I could have backed out. I could have pulled the plug. But then I saw them, Lana, Jess, and Brooke, sitting in the second row, laughing like they owned the room. I sat across the aisle watching. The lights dimmed. The slideshow began photos from sports day drama club rehearsals, science fair projects. Everyone clapped and laughed at the bloopers reel. And then, just as the last clip faded to black, a new video began to play. The screen flickered. White text appeared. "Sometimes the truth hides in whispers. Listen carefully." At first, no one moved. Then audio played grainy but clear. Jess's voice.
"I swear she looked like she was gonna faint when we ripped it. Did you see her face? Brooke."
"Totally worth it. I hate how she thinks she's smart."
"Lana."
"She deserved it." The gym fell silent. Faces turned. Teachers sat up. The principal leaned forward. On screen, their faces appeared caught in candid moments, laughing, smirking. Subtitles rolled with every line. No music, no editing fluff, just cold, hard truth. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Parents looked horrified. A teacher muttered, "Is this real?" Then the final frame hit. "You tore my exam, but you couldn't tear me down. Mia." And the screen went black. A beat of silence. Then, chaos. Whispers erupted like a wave. All eyes turned toward Lana, Jess, and Brooke. Lana's face was pale. Jess looked like she wanted to disappear. Brooke was already standing, trying to leave. The principal, Mr. Raymond, stood. Everyone remained seated. Lana, Jessica, Brooke, my office. Now. They didn't even argue. I stood too, not to leave, but because people were looking at me. And not like before. Not with judgment. With understanding. Someone started clapping. Then others joined in. I didn't smile, not yet. I was still shaking. But for the first time in weeks, my eyes weren't wet with tears. They were clear. Dylan gave me a thumbs up from the back row. Justice wasn't loud. It was precise. It was clean. And it was done. I'd never forget how it felt. Because in a room full of lies, I finally made the truth echo louder. By lunch, the school felt like a different universe. The video had done more than just expose the bullies, it cracked something open in everyone else, too. The once untouchable trio, Lana, Jess, and Brooke, had disappeared from class. Rumors spread that their parents had been called in immediately. Suspension was likely some said expulsion. I didn't care about their fate as much as I thought I would. Instead, what got to me were the looks I was getting in the hallway, real looks. Some people nodded, others smiled. A few even said, "Hey, good for you." One girl from my history class stopped me at my locker and whispered, "Thank you. They used to mess with me too." I realized then I hadn't just stood up for myself. I'd stood up for others who were too scared or too tired to fight back. But not everyone was thrilled. That afternoon, as I left the bathroom, I came face to face with Brooke. She looked different. Her eyeliner was smudged, her ponytail loose. There was no smugness this time.
"You think you're some kind of hero?"
she hissed. "No," I said calmly. "Just someone who's done being quiet." She stepped closer. "You humiliated us. You destroyed my chance at college. I think we're even." Her lip trembled, and for a second, I saw something unexpected, fear. I walked past her, head held high. My hands were still shaking, but it didn't matter. I had already won. That evening, Mr. Calderon called my house. "I saw the video," he said, voice tight.
"Mia, I owe you an apology. I should have believed you."
My throat went dry. "Thank you." "I spoke to the administration. We're allowing you to retake the exam privately, tomorrow morning." I almost dropped the phone.
"I know it won't erase what happened,"
he added.
"but I hope it gives you another chance."
It did, more than he knew. The next morning, I walked into the empty classroom where he waited with a fresh exam. The same questions, the same weight, but this time no fear, no Lana, no laughter. I finished in under an hour. When I handed him the paper, he smiled and said, "No matter the grade, you've already passed the hardest test." I didn't cry. I just nodded. A week later, I got the results 98%, highest in the class. And just like that, the dream I thought they had ruined was back on track. But more than any grade or second chance, I had something greater now, proof that truth matters, that silence can be broken, and that even when the world turns its back, you can still rise. Even if you have to do it alone. I thought getting my grade back would be the final chapter, but in some ways the real ending came after, and it didn't unfold the way I expected. A few days after the results came out, I was called to the principal's office. The receptionist smiled at me, differently this time, not with suspicion, but with a strange kind of warmth. When I walked in, Mr. Raymond stood up. "Mia," he said, motioning to the chair across from him. "I wanted to tell you in person, thank you." I sat unsure what to say.
"We've spoken with the families of the girls involved," he continued. "They've been suspended for the remainder of the term. Further disciplinary action will be considered."
I nodded.
"Okay."
He leaned forward. "But I also want you to know we're changing a few policies, anonymous student reporting staff response procedures. Your case opened our eyes." Something in me softened. I hadn't just won for me, I'd sparked something larger. Later that week, my English teacher, Mr. Calderon, handed me a printed flyer. "Writers Showcase," I read aloud. "Open submissions for student essays and short stories."
"You should enter," he said. "Write about anything you want."
That night, I sat down and opened a blank document. But I didn't write about revenge or pain. I wrote about strength, about how one voice, when pushed far enough, can shatter silence. The submission won first place. Weeks passed, and the whispers changed. No more rumors, no more sideways glances. If anything, people began coming to me for help, asking how I did it, how I stayed calm. I told them the truth, I didn't. I was angry, scared, broken, but I refused to let that be where it ended. I even found a friend in Dylan. We weren't close before, but after everything he started sitting with me at lunch. Turns out he'd been bullied too, just in quieter ways. One afternoon, Lana approached me. She looked exhausted, makeup barely covering the shadows under her eyes. "I just wanted to say, sorry," she muttered, looking down. "We took it too far." I stared at her for a moment. The old Mia might have yelled, demanded more. But I'd learned something. "I know," I said. "I hope you learn from it." She nodded, then walked away. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt free. I wasn't the girl whose exam was destroyed anymore. I was the girl who stood up, who fought back, and who wrote her own ending. If there's one thing I learned, it's this: silence doesn't protect you. It isolates you. Speaking up, even when your voice shakes, is the first step toward healing. People may not believe you at first. You may be mocked, doubted, or dismissed. But truth has a way of rising, especially when you hold on to it with both hands. If someone is hurting you physically, emotionally, digitally, remember, you're not alone. Keep records. Find allies. Speak even if no one listens right away. And if you're someone who's witnessed bullying and stayed silent, ask yourself why. Because silence can be just as harmful. Most of all, believe in yourself, even when the world doesn't. Your voice matters. Your story matters. And sometimes justice doesn't come from a loud scream. It comes from quiet, unshakable truth.